Ow.
Ooh.
Wow. There it is.
Welcome to another episode of the Holistic Cannabis Show, where I am your hostess, Dr. Yolanda Henderson, and I'm always joined by my co-host. Wait. You know what? I forgot to properly introduce myself. All right, I'm Dr. Yolanda Henderson, co-host of the Holistic Cannabis Show, aka the Hat Lady, aka Cannabis Doc, aka Mother Earth. Yeah, I like that better. Mother Earth. All right, and always joined by my wonderful co-hosts. Who are you today?
Uncle Hen.
Uncle Hen.
Today I'm Uncle Hen.
Today he's Uncle Hen, y'all. Uncle Hen. All right, Uncle Hen. Let's go ahead and get this show started. This is a wonderful show. That's why it took us a little time to get it started, because this is a show that you all are not going to be able to digest all the way properly. This show is about sex and cannabis. It's also about the new Georgia dispensaries that just opened up, and y'all see my face. I'm happy about that. So you all get ready to enjoy the multitude of greatness. All right, Mr. Uncle Hen. I'm sorry, Uncle Hen. Go ahead and tell us
these facts to you right quick.
Right.
Now, say that you see something on the show, it's interesting to you. You call in, hey man, I know about that. Hey man, I want to talk about that. I got a question about that. You can call in at 470-251-4647. Again, 470-251-4647, and ask your question. State your opinion. Even if we don't agree with it, you still can call it in. All right, look. Say you chilling, you want to watch the show. How do you watch the show on my little device? If you're on YouTube, go back and watch the replays at Manifest TV. Look for Holistic Cannabis Show. Manifest TV is also the handle for Instagram and Facebook, manifesttv.status. You're going to look for the Holistic Cannabis Show. You looking for Periscope and Twitter users out there, status_network_, Roku, Fire Stick, Manifest TV, Holistic Cannabis Show. You're going to find your boy. You find your boy everywhere. I'm like paint. I'm everywhere.
like paint. Are you like paint?
I'm on Spotify.
You on Spotify?
We on
iHeartRadio.
We on
Amazon Podcast.
We on White on Rice. We on everywhere.
We everywhere.
All right, there you go.
All right, so
back to being serious.
Right. So we're just excited about everything that just happened. So you all are aware that Georgia just received their first medical cannabis dispensary in history. Okay, so we just made history. And for those that did not show up for this history-making place, this history-making opportunity, it was amazing. Okay, so like this was a surprise to me. I literally did not see the news, and I went back and I saw the news clips that were saying that it was going to be opening. I didn't see it. I didn't get the news until that morning, and it was about to start, and I was like, oh, I gotta get there. So I hurry up and got dressed, but they had goodie bags that were giving out free lunch. People were in line. It was giving out the waters. The goodie bags, we had blankets. I didn't bring my goodie bag this time, but I did bring products so that I can talk about those briefly to you all. And just watching this news clip. So I want to just show y'all what actually transpired so y'all can see it for yourselves. All right. And it just talks about, you know, the patients that were in line. And then we were lucky enough to have one of our students to give the first transaction. He was amazing. So shouts out to Zach. We are so proud of you. Employed by TrueLeaf, certified dispensary technician or cannapharmacologist at the Atlanta, Georgia Academy of Cannabis Science, aka the Gift of Life Community Home. So shouts out again to Zach. You are amazing. You took the first patient and gave them their medical products, medical cannabis products, and you knew what to do. So they are so proud of you from the feedback that I heard and everything. But we do have this video that we're going to show Zach giving out his medication to some of the patients. And shouts out to Sydney, who was the wheelchair bound young lady who received her medication. She was the first one in Marietta, Georgia, to receive her medical cannabis products, and she is suffering from, I believe it was spina bifida or seizures, and so that made her eligible to receive her medical cannabis card. And we're going to talk about how to get a medical cannabis card, and how much it's going. So a lot of people are trying to get the card and find out how to get access to these dispensaries. All right, so this dispensary was state of the art, you guys. It was a really nice dispensary set up, just like the book. It was almost scary. I talked about how to set up medical cannabis dispensaries in our courses. And so Mr. Henderson, he was there with me in my excitement, and my son actually got a chance to come in, and it was really just a opportunity. It was a way to talk to patients who have been waiting on medical cannabis to come to the state. It was so many people who were, talking about their loved ones, and some people had passed away, and it was just an amazing sight that day. The air was filled with relief, and so I did do a couple of blogs or video blogs, vlogs about it on Instagram. And so that night I took my medication, and I'm gonna just take some medication because I want to be able to show you guys that it is legal for me to take cannabis right now on this light, on this show, and tell you guys how I feel about that. I'm on live, and I'm about to take a dropper full of cannabis oil because I am a medical cannabis patient, and I'm just proud. I'm just proud. And this is again from True Leaf.
Oh Lord. Oh Lord. Oh Lord, is it gonna be out the chain? Y'all get 911 on standby. Nah, man, I ain't tripping. I'm gonna forever take my medicine the traditional way. They have to do all that right there. That's too much. That's too much for the old dude. That's too much for the old dude. That's too much.
But just imagine, I'm around kids all day. I'm around students. I'm around a lot of different people where they don't want to smell what I've been doing. They don't want to smell what I have indulged in. I can indulge in my oil. I can put it in my food. Right. I can put it in my drink. Yeah. And I can consume any way I want to with this stuff, okay?
Well, I'm going to just tell you, I prefer stinking. I prefer stinking, reeking. All right? You know what I'm saying? Because what was crazy, Friday, a dispensary opened, right? By the time I got to the job, the folks was giving me a drug test. How you gonna give me a drug test? Boy, you wasted a cup that day. You straight wasted your money and a cup. So I just want to shout you out, idiot. You gotta get up early in the morning to fool old dude.
Yeah. That's crazy because we got to do a show on that. Drug testing and, how to pass.
Man, drug testing needs to go ahead and be outlawed, man. Y'all just going to waste that bread like that, man,
Yeah,
Because the thing is, got a card.
Got a card.
So you just wasted your time. You wasted my time. You question my character. It didn't matter because my character was high.
Oh, my goodness. All right. So shouts out to those who celebrated birthdays this month. This is the last day of April. It flew by, y'all. So we just, had a lot to talk about. But I just want to get to this video because it showed the multitude of what happened this Friday. So right after this, we'll be right back.
Being made in Georgia for the first time, families are allowed to buy medical cannabis in our state. So this morning, dozens of people lined up outside Trulieve and Marietta. Trulieve and Botanical Sciences are the two companies authorized to sell medical cannabis in Georgia. The first two dispensaries open up this morning in Marietta and Macon, and today people drove from all over Metro Atlanta. Now, the store sells a low dose of THC oils, capsules, and lotions, and we spoke with one family who's waited for years to get relief for their daughter.
It's hard to hold emotions in right now. It's not just about Sydney, it is for us. This is our child, but there's so many others like her. We fight for all of them.
So in order to buy medical cannabis, you must have a doctor's prescription and a registration card from the Department of Public Health. The two companies authorized to sell the products plan to open up more locations in Cobb, Bibb, and Chatham counties later on this year.
Can't go? Do this to clear out stuck poop fast.
Word.
All right. So you all saw it. Zach was the canna pharmacologist, aka dispensary technician, who is our former student who graduated from our school. We were just so happy to see him on the news. He said he'd been trying to run from the cameras. It was so many cameras there. It was so many news. You probably could see it on so many different news outlets. But it was epic. It was an epic moment. You saw Miss Sydney in the wheelchair, who her dad was her caregiver, and he advocated for many, many years. So shouts out to those who advocated in the state of Georgia for years, where we needed this as a patient. I'm a patient first, and getting that cannabis medicine was so important. So thanks to whoever put the committee together and decided that let's do this. We are so excited. We're so happy, but we're not going to stop the advocacy here. It's people who want to be able to take it the way that they want to take it. They want to smoke it. There's people here who wants to grow it. They want to be able to plant their own seeds and watch it grow so that they know exactly where it's coming from. Even though we have a reputable company with Trulieve, there's people who still, rather have it that way. And I just wanted to say that I didn't spend a lot on this. This was like $30 for a bottle, basically $20 to $30. They offer discounts for those who are SNAP recipients, those who are veterans, those who are, just they had so many dispensary discounts that I was just amazed. I said that I'm going to shout that out as well. So I bought like 4 different products for the price that I was paying for. One for the oil that I was getting out of California. And oil wise, it says it's 50 doses. Okay. And it's a 300 milligram THC. And it's a 1 to 20 ratio. So it's 1% of CBD to 20% of THC. So it's not really a lot of CBD, which is great. This is the perfect ratio for a person who have a medical qualifying condition. And those conditions are cancer, ALS, seizure disorders related to epilepsy or head trauma. That's what my daughter had. Multiple sclerosis, Crohn's disease. There's also mitochondrial disease, Parkinson's disease, sickle cell disease, Tourette syndrome, autism spectrum disorder, epidermolysis, Alzheimer's disease, AIDS, peripheral neuropathy, patient in hospice, or intractable pain, and or post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. So a lot of people, you're in pain, you had a car accident, you can get a card, okay? You can get a card. Give me a call, all right? So you just saw me take a sublingual. It takes about 15 to 45 minutes, depending on who you are, how your body is, are able to take cannabis. And then the on-site of it to work is about, the duration of it is about 2 to 4 hours. My products lasted me about 4 hours. So I'm just excited. The side effects, contraindications, anybody with coronary artery disease or hypotension, or they already abuse drugs or alcohol abuse, you just need to be careful with taking this medicine. Yeah. I appreciate it. So shouts out again. Now, Mr. Henderson, what do you think about it? You think it worked great for me?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. Well, we're going to talk about our next topic, which is sex and cannabis. And now, because of a lot of people who have these disorders and these diseases that they need cannabis for, we're going to have a lot of more horny individuals out here. Because what does cannabis do? What are the 3 H's we talk about?
High, hungry, and horny.
There you go. So
That's what I heard.
that's what you heard. Okay, that's what I heard too. So that's why we're gonna talk about sex and cannabis. All right, so why cannabis lube is healthy for your vagina. All right, I'm thinking of a lube. I'm thinking of getting a product together. Why do you think, Mr. Henderson? Oh, that's a vaginal care system. That's a whole nother topic. We're going to be talking about that as well.
Why do I think cannabis lube is a good thing?
Right.
Well, because it's a lube.
It is.
So you slide right on in. Slide right on in. Low friction.
Okay.
But I'm serious though. The cannabinoid piece of the lube is what makes it different.
Okay.
Because they have cannabinoids in it, and you put those cannabinoids directly to the genital area.
There you go.
So it's going to increase blood flow. So it's going to maximize the experience. Because a lot of the situation, from what I hear, I don't have the situation myself, but from what I hear, it increases blood flow. And blood flow is a major component in being able to swing your thing.
Okay, I'm done with you. I have a special guest that has been waiting, and we're going to hear from swinging. Oh, stop. All right, and seriously, she is a wonderful person that I have just got a chance to meet, and she is in this industry taking it by the horn and making this thing rock. All right, so sexologist Miss J. Watts, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us today. I love your nails. They almost look like mine. Hey.
I love the stiletto look.
Yes.
It's pointy.
Yeah. See, I didn't do that time. I got the square ones. I should have got those. Something told me to get the stiletto ones. But let's talk about what you do. You talk about sex a lot. Which is fun because there's so many people who need to know. So tell us about what you do, please.
Yeah, so I actually started out my career path in diversity, equity, and inclusion. So I still do diversity, equity, and inclusion work. But while doing my diversity, equity, inclusion work, I realized that this work needed to be healing centered. And one aspect that was really lacking was sexual health and wellness. And I thought, like, how do I make sure when it comes to sexual shame and sexual wellness that people feel like they have a voice at the table, that they feel like they belong in the conversation? And we have left it up to society and to individuals to determine where people fit in when it comes to sexual health and wellness versus being able to give it back to the individual and saying, where do you fit in? Where do you want to fit in? What looks good for you? What is passion, pleasure, and purpose? What does that mean for you? And so I was able to branch off and really be able to find this niche within myself for the last almost 12 years and be able to say that sexual health and wellness is a matter of justice. It is a matter of diversity, equity, and inclusion because being able to prioritize your happiness and your passion and pleasure and purpose is a way to situate yourself in a society that says that no, you should worry about everybody else and about everything else except for your happiness. No, I want to make sure your happiness is prioritized, which means that your pleasure should also be prioritized as well too.
There
so
you go.
How I got into sexual health and wellness.
Awesome. Wow, that's amazing. Okay, so tell us about using cannabis, using mushrooms, I think you were talking about before. How
Yeah.
does that help with being able to enjoy sex as a person who has a disability or may be scared to finally get to, because like I said, this stuff right here is going to cause a lot of people to get horny. I'm just saying, where are they going to be able to open up to that? Maybe their spouse never saw them in this light. Maybe they're going to be a little bit extra excited about having sex now, whereas they did not have a libido. So tell us how you know about the industry.
So, within the sexual health and wellness work that I do, I am a sex counselor, and I do work a lot with OBGYN offices and urologist offices, with pelvic floor physical therapists. And a lot of times those professionals are wanting a way to be able to support clients and patients in a way that does not require like clinical medication. And we tend to throw a lot of prescription drugs at people thinking that that is going to solve the problem, right? We
I
think
like
that
that.
that is going to be the end all be all.
That's not it.
And it's not always it. And when it comes to sexual health and wellness, when I'm approached to supporting a client that may have vaginismus, maybe they're already connected with a mental health counselor, and a mental health counselor may not know too much about sexual health and wellness and connects with me. I often talk about, what anxieties do you have about sex? What anxieties do you have about penetration? When you had, for example, for individuals that have had childbirth and may have some type of childbirth injury, such as, laceration to their vaginal canal that has caused some type of pain or stitching or injury, or even some of that knee-jerk pain that sometimes is caused due to penetration being painful. People are wanting ways to kind of temper the mind. It is, when we think of classical conditioning, if you did a little bit of, learning about classical conditioning, about psychology a little bit, then you learned about Maslow's dog. Maslow's, the dog had the ringing bell, and every time a food tray came in and the bell rang, then that was a sensor in the brain saying that something was coming. And same thing that can happen when it comes to pain, right? Sometimes people equate pain with penetration. Rechanneling the brain to say that this does not have to equal to this. Now, sometimes people are asexual. Sometimes people don't want to have sex. It is not my job to force them into an experience that they're not wanting to have. But sometimes they're like, sex was pleasurable, but due to this is what happened. And cannabis can support that pain release. Cannabis can support with those sensations and those sensors in your body to be able to handle, especially when it comes to pain management. I have a lot of clients that were dished out opioids and other things just to be able to handle sex. Can you believe that? That they were given strong pain medication just to handle sex.
Now they can take cannabis.
And now they can take cannabis as a natural means to be able to, one, condition themselves back to penetration. Not saying that people should have to go through pain in order to handle intimacy. There are other ways to be able to handle intimacy that don't require penetration. But some people want to scaffold themselves into it, such as utilizing dilators, such as utilizing toys, etc. And it still may require some cannabis or ways to be able to channel the mind.
Channeling the mind.
And cannabis is a great way to channel the mind into a space where you're able to situate yourself within yourself, be able to focus on those aspects that really matter to you, versus fixating on painful experiences as well. So cannabis is just holistically great, and I'm glad that states are starting to see the value. Now let's work on decriminalizing.
That's right. Because I don't see not a one sexual disorder related to getting approval for this on this list.
Absolutely.
So we
because-
have what I know you know what sexual conditions that can be treated by medical cannabis. Go ahead and tell us.
Yeah, and also this is something that studies are still continuing to research, right? Because this is something, sexual health and wellness has been something that society has demonized for a long time. So it is this new wave of individuals that are starting to look at cannabis and psilocybin and other psychedelics as ways to alleviate sexual health and wellness concerns. So there are research studies to talk about how it's going to alleviate when it comes to sexual shame and when it comes to vaginismus, when it comes to pelvic floor pain as well too, when it comes to also aspects of postpartum and postpartum depression. Postpartum depression also impacts sexual health and wellness, and if anyone has had postpartum depression, they may have, and I'll raise my hand to it, and also, knowing that can impact sexual health and wellness. Insurance companies still haven't gotten to that space where they are recognizing sexual health and reproductive health as a viable space to even approve support when it comes to, health and wellness and happiness and thriving. But we know that that's important. And unfortunately, sexual shame has a lot to do with that because we have individuals making decisions that feel like that it's not as important. But listen, I can go on a tangent. We want to prioritize marriages and marriages being able to be successful, but we also don't want to prioritize sexual health and wellness and happiness when it comes to that.
Where's my bell?
We got our priorities straight when it comes to it.
We got to make sure people understand and know about it. Right. That's where me and you coming in at, because I'm also learning under you.
And all this has to do with cannabis. And
That's right.
It has to do with cannabis. It has to do with psilocybin as well, too. I keep on plugging in psilocybin. So that
What is that? What is that?
Psilocybin is the utilization of mushrooms that have a strain of psilocybin within it. Not all mushrooms have psilocybin as a property, but some do.
Is
and
it making the
psilocybin
sex
often
better?
have a psychedelic experience to it.
Okay.
Does it make the sex better?
So psilocybin is often utilized for healing. So
just like cannabis.
not necessarily just for making sex better, but it's being able to work through your experiences in a way that's transformative in the moment. Now, some people utilize it for the trip to be able to transcend to a higher plane, but a lot of people utilize, especially indigenous people, especially the true owners of the experiences of psilocybin, which happen to be indigenous people of color, that have created a healing experience within it. And you could say the same thing about cannabis, right?
Yes.
People of color and indigenous folks have really created experience, but unfortunately, individuals that are not people of color have been monetizing it. But that's
right. That's a whole nother day and a whole nother. We got to talk about it. Inclusive, and that's what the justice and diversion. There you go. Well, we will talk about that because I had went to an event on yesterday, and it was an amazing event. It was the Elevated Eats program, and there I am there, and it was a lot of different foods and vendors that were wanting to be inclusive. And the question was, how come, a lot of African Americans did not get the dispensary license? And I told them, it's kind of point blank to the point that they have taken it and perfected it to the point to where we got to go in and learn how they're doing it and learn what they want us to learn about it. And then we can get into it, or we can protest, get together, show up for the Capitol meetings like I did, and make our voices heard. We want home grow. We want to be able to grow it and sell it on a level, and it's going to take not the 10 people that usually go to the Capitol. It's going to take all of those people that were at that event, all of those African Americans that want to be inclusive, in part of diversity inclusive to the cannabis industry, showing up. And that's all it's going to, and being educated, by the way, because if you don't know how to open up a dispensary, and we are telling you we have the first African American owned, black owned medical cannabis school in the state of Georgia, why not join forces? It's going to take a lot of money, and I'm telling you, it was probably about 100 people there. Everybody putting their monies together, making that known, I think would have been a beneficial, aspect of getting into the cannabis industry. So, yeah. So being a sexologist, tell us about what you're doing now and how you're educating people, because you're my instructor, my mentor in this industry. I'm excited about that. And tell us and tell everyone how they can take part of that.
I appreciate that. And I appreciate you naming me as a mentor. I think I get humbled by that, because I think if you're a sexologist and if you're a professional in any type of field, you're always in an ever learning and ever growing state.
Yes.
I will never know everything that there is to know about sexology, and I hope that no one ever gets in their head and into their ego that they are the only professional that has the monopoly over knowledge when it comes to sexology. I don't profess that.
Yes, over anything, actually.
Yeah, over anything.
Yeah,
like
we always learning new stuff.
Yeah, and like I was telling Dr. Henderson, she has, and you two have great plans when it comes to cannabis. And when it comes to sexuality as well too. It's not my job to monopolize over that. It's my job to be able to push people to you.
Okay. Well, thank you. Yes.
And within my work as a sexologist, my job is one to support liberation when it comes to sexual health and wellness, and what that looks like for individuals, that is consensual, safe, and sane, right?
Yes.
Because that's the only thing that we prioritize within sexuality work. Contrary to popular belief that people think that sex positivity is about non-consensual activity or things that are or against consent, that is not what sex positivity is. That is not what this sexuality work is. It's being able to liberate individuals from where they are. So I work with individuals that are asexual, that have no desire to have sex. That is their that's their
part. Yeah, that's what they want to do.
That is their passion, pleasure, and purpose. And I am the founder of the Inclusive Sex Coach program, and I am helping individuals to become the sexologist out there, because I can't do this by myself, and nor do I want to hoard this knowledge to think that I am the only one that can do this. And I think that when we as a people feel like we can hoard that knowledge and be the only person that can do this work and the only person that can monopolize over this work, then we're not being change agents.
Yes.
So I want to create more sexologists to go out there and do the work that is transformative, to be able to support a community, to support healing. And the Inclusive Sex Coach program does that. So it's a 3-month program. It's totally virtual. It is also self-paced. So some people take a little bit more than 3 months, and that's okay.
That's okay.
We have scholarship options as well too for people that can't afford the full tuition. We have partial scholarships, and we really want you to become the sexologist you want to be, not the person I am.
Yes.
Because the person I am is different than you.
That's right.
So, it's different from person to person, and I embody justice, dignity, and belonging within this work.
Great.
And, Dr. Henderson can attest that this work, I center justice within it. I center individuals that have been historically excluded.
Yes.
It's always talked about. So that's what I do, and that's how I give this work out. I work with individuals. I work with groups. I work with couples. I do this schooling work as well too. I do campus tours where I work with different campuses, do sex talks as well too to groups. So I just do a little bit of everything, but still opening that door to other people that want to do it too. It's important.
It's important. That's right. That's amazing, because that's also what we do over at the Gift of Life Community Home. Is we make coaches, we make other people who go out and they help people who have disorders and help them heal themselves, because we can't do it all, and I can attest to that. We cannot do it all. We can't be everywhere at one time. I can tell you how many events I have next month coming up, and I can't be everywhere, so it's gonna have to be some people that I'm training to go and be the spokesperson. But you know what the best part about it is? You don't want them to learn anything. You want them to know the best. You want them to be educated, because they're going to represent you. And so therefore, when you train them, you want them to know exactly the blueprint of what you learned and more, and give more research and find more answers to the problems that may arise in the future. So that was one of the things that I asked when I was in naturopathic school. I asked my instructors, when are we going to talk about, are we ever going to talk about hemp and cannabis? Learning the naturopathic and the herbal remedies and herbal medicine. And they said, yeah, it's down the line. We don't think it's ever going to happen. And lo and behold, learning it just in case, So absolutely. Awesome. I have a question about the ministry and clergy, and explaining and being, available for those who kind of shameful about sex, or they're married and they don't know how to be intimate with their partners the way that their partners feel comfortable. And I know we talked a little bit about it before. Can you kind of elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, I work with a lot of people that are either spiritual or religious leaders. There are individuals like yourself and other folks that are in the program that are pastors, that are evangelists, that are ministers, that are spiritual leaders in some form and fashion. And when I started this program, I said, this program is for you too. Because within learning about spirituality and religion, and about, leading a flock and being able to support individuals in their spiritual journey, yes, you have to be okay with talking about sexual health and wellness. Because if there is this push to make sure that marriages are sacred, that connections are sacred, that family's sacred as well too, then a part of that is also being able to understand sexual health and wellness and sexual shame within that as well too. And unfortunately, we live in a society where we are not comfortable talking about sex, and we're definitely not comfortable in blending sexual wellness and health. I mean, I just talked about with you too, this whole, sometimes we utilize parables in the Bible to shame people about sex, and sometimes that leads to dysfunction into adulthood. I think about how, the rape of Tamar really informed me as, a young person into almost adulthood, because of my upbringing, and how I wished that some of the clergy people that were part of my upbringing when it comes to my spirituality knew a little bit about sexual health and wellness as well too, and how that was utilized as a punitive force, unfortunately, to impact the sexual health of a lot of the women that heard that parable in a way that was not centered in health and wellness, was not centered in healing. And being able to do this education in a way that I want you as individuals that are in clergy, that individuals that are in spiritual and religious life, to be able to handle these questions with your members in a way that is transformative, that brings them closer together, not to bring them further apart. Because the couples that I talk to, the individuals that I talk to, a lot of times what is preventing them from being able to connect in a way have a lot to do with shame. And for to break that shame, there needs to be more leaders to be able to have these very brave conversations about being able to love each other and connect with each other. And even when it comes to sexual health and wellness within couples can be a physical manifestation of love.
Awesome.
Can be a physical and emotional and metaphysical manifestation of love. And I want you to feel secure in your love for each other. That being together, loving each other may not be enough. You know, with growing divorce rates, that is not the case. People that divorce each other, they still love each other. The connection was breached.
Yep.
And being able to format and formulate that passion and pleasure and purpose together is important. So yes, spiritual and religious life leaders, yes, there is a place for you within this work. I know a lot of Christian sexologists. I know a lot of halal sexologists as well too, that also do work with our Islamic communities. It's important because we have to prioritize happiness and passion, pleasure, and purposes within connections, even within ourselves or with couples as well too.
Awesome. That's important. That's very, very important. I mean, and just having someone to talk about it and feel like you don't have to hide, oh, well, this person likes BDSM, but I can't talk about this because she doesn't like it or he doesn't like it, you know, and it's against, you know, purposes of God, you know, to talk about this is not what we're supposed to do. But God said the bedroom is supposed to be a holy place for you to worship however you want to. You know, that's whatever your spouse likes, that's what you do, is what I learned. I learned, you know, your first, you know, obligation is not so much to God when you get married. It's more to your spouse, your partner. And that's where you go and you find out what it is that spouse is interested in. You go
as long as it's consensual, safe, and sane.
Exactly.
I will say, and this is just a plug to everyone, I also work with a lot of women that feel like they have to do a lot of obligation sex, that they feel like when they're with their partner that they're being assaulted. And that's a different conversation.
Oh, yeah.
Also speaking to you all as well, too, that feel like that you all are in that space where you feel like you have to just because you're in a marriage. You also have a voice as well, too.
Exactly.
This is why it's important for pastors and religious life folks and spiritual folks to also affirm that happiness within your relationships also means to respect your boundaries for both people as well too.
Right.
That's important.
That's important.
For both folks to have a voice.
Right.
And an experience that embodies passion, pleasure, and purpose. Not just one.
That's right. That is so true. You know, there's people who they feel like they are being raped and they're within their marriage. And it's the spouse will get up and want to have sex and the person don't want to have sex, and that's considered rape. But then I did not know that could be, you know, a real thing, but I learned that is a real thing.
Yeah.
So a lot of people,
it is very prevalent. And it shouldn't be. So I will say that is one of the reasons why that, especially within spiritual and religious life, and also just with any type of work to do with couples or affirmations and empowerment, that we center that happiness, that joy, and that fun in sex. Sex is fun.
It's supposed to be fun.
Not just a checkbox. Let's bring the fun back.
Yes.
That is the key.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. That's the key, right, Mr. Henderson?
Right on.
That's
right on.
You have any questions? Or do you want to talk about anything?
I already asked all my questions. I already asked all my questions and everything, but I enjoyed the conversation. I learned something new. I learned that it's possible that actually a husband can rape his wife.
Oh, wow.
I just learned that, like, just a minute ago. Right? So, like, I know for a lot of the times, you know, the complaint is, oh, well, I want to have sex, but my wife don't. She got a headache. Okay? She constantly got a headache all the time. What does the husband do with those unmet needs, though? You see what I'm saying? Does that give him a hall pass at that point? You know, hey, I ain't had sex with my wife in 6 months now. Come on now. I'm about to bust a pipe. But you can do other things to it don't all sex doesn't always have to involve penetration. There's mutual masturbation. Okay? You say you got a headache, you know, you can there's oral, there's a lot of other different ways. There's talking. You can talk a man to sleep. I'm just saying.
Yes. And also, it could be just a deeper. It could be a deeper conversation. As why do you need orgasm to fall asleep? And are there other ways and other means that we can get you to fall asleep, such as tantra?
But I don't know. After 6
And
after 6
tantra
months,
is being able to utilize touch and energy and intimate massages.
Oh yeah, especially with the
Because
cannabis.
sometimes we get in this space where we get into this habit that in order to fall asleep or in order to de-stress, we have to do B, right? And that can be one. It can be toxic as well too, because grief happens, right? Life happens. Job loss happens. Transitions happen. Illnesses happen. So when those aspects happen, what's going to happen if you're dependent on only one form of being able to cope? And that's with anything. So you have to be able to, especially when it comes to intimacy, you have to be able to understand, you have to humanize your partner. To humanize them. That headache may prevent me from being aroused. So if I have a headache, maybe I need psychological safety.
Okay.
Hugs,
If you give
touches.
me psychological safety and
Yes.
physical safety and affirming me, maybe the next day my sex will be rocking like you ain't never had it, because you put me in a safe position where you prioritize my psychological safety versus making me feel like I'm obligated to give you something when I am ready for it.
I like that.
Then why don't so many people who feel that way, and I would imagine it's maybe primarily gonna be the women that's gonna feel that way, right? Because women are emotional, by nature, right? So if it's gonna be primarily the wife that feel like that, or the girlfriend or significant other who feels that way, then how can she initiate those conversations? Men, we're simplistic, we're logical. So if you say, hey, this is my problem and this is what I'm dealing with, husband, instead of shooting them down at every turn, right?
That's important. One thing that I suggest when it comes to clients, when it comes to that, because that tends to be the issue, especially when it comes to couples that have been together for more than 5 years. It tends to happen a lot. So what I suggest is have these conversations outside of the bedroom, not near sex, and not while sex is happening, because that can cause some performance anxiety.
Ooh, man, psychological.
Yes, but also when it comes to just preparing and having these questions proactively. Wife or husband or partner, there may be times that I'm just not interested, and I want you to know that it is not you. That there just may be times I may be tired, and this is how I de-escalate.
Right.
That I may need some time to just be me. I may need a foot rub instead of penetration and sex.
Right.
But I won't stay that way.
Right. There you go.
Right.
It don't last forever. Just
It don't last forever. But
Yes.
what tends to happen is we don't have those conversations. So people get shot down, then they get disenchanted,
Rejection, right.
they feel devalued, or they're constantly feeling like they're having to be forced or have some obligation sex. And then they begin to check out emotionally and
Oh,
sexually.
wow.
They don't even do it at all.
well, we got.
Obligatory.
You just said a mouthful. Like I could talk to you all day. Like this is something that a lot of people need to hear. This is why I'm
They
learning
do.
this. And this is another reason why I'm learning this, because there's so many couples out here that are falling by the wayside. What the pastors just say, falling by the
Right, because
wayside.
when you watching stuff like social media, a lot of social media stuff is just like popularism. You talk about, the man asking the woman, what you bring to the table? The woman,
Right.
well, I bring myself, I bring my character. But then these kind of conversations is the kind of conversations that people really need to be having, not the what you bring to the table, but how can we complete each other to make the
Absolutely.
table, right? Because what you will end up having is I sit at this end of the table, you sit at this end of the table, and they get the chainsaw like on Tyler Perry and Madea Family Reunion and cut the table down the middle, and what you got left? Two people that's eating alone in the same room. You see
Absolutely.
what I'm saying? So yeah, I would agree that prior to, well, what do you see your 5-year goals as? What do you want out of life? Sex should very much be more of a conversation than just what's your favorite position? How do you like it? What's gonna get you turned on? Some soft music, some rose pills. Yeah, everybody know about that kind of stuff. But the mental cost of having sex, especially when you considering a long-term commitment. Where does sex stand in this relationship?
Absolutely.
And then being open
The
to
traumas.
communicate with your person, right? A lot of, I guess, sex issues will stem from unresolved issues that happened before this relationship started.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
people
and
carry
trauma.
bags.
That's an important conversation. Trauma is an important conversation. How you respond when you're triggered.
Right.
And, even a phone call from a parent can trigger someone into a space
That make them not even want to be intimate.
where
with
they're
anybody.
not wanting to be touched or even be talked to. So even having those
gotta laugh
proactive
about that
conversations. How do you deal with stress?
Right.
When you're stressed about bills, do you recluse?
Right.
Do you feel, and even some of the intimate, this is another conversation, even some of these intimate conversations, do you feel insecure about my upward mobility? And how does that play out in your intimacy with me?
Right.
When you feel insecure about some things that I'm excelling at and maybe you're not there at, will you withdraw from me? And if you withdraw from me, how can we be able to work together when it comes to that? When you're recognizing that, what are some great ways that we can come together and talk about it?
And
Do you
that's
have
where
the
they fall
proclivity
apart.
to
Right
lie?
there. That's where
How
they fall
do
apart.
lies impact intimacy?
We gotta have you back on the show.
what they
I'm
call
telling
it
you,
right
this has been great. I'm sure a lot of people learned a lot of information. We hope and pray that some, people contact you. Tell them again where they can contact you and maybe enroll in your classes, maybe get counseling from you. You're the expert. You're the mentor. You're the person. Not saying you know everything, but from what you just said, you can help a lot of people. And so let's get your information again.
Yeah, so they can reach me at so that's TheCESW, so that's C as in cat, E as in elephant, S as in Sam, W as William.com. And you can also reach me on social media at so that's THA, Loveologist. And you can reach out to me. I am not a psychotherapist, so you're not going to get mental health treatment from me, but you're going to get sexual health and wellness strategies from me. And that's an important difference between a sex counselor and a sex therapist. I'm a sex counselor, not a sex therapist, but I can refer you to some really great sex therapists if a mental health aspect is your concern.
Awesome. And y'all see this? I'm gonna be like well equipped in knowledge. I'm just so happy. All right, well, we got a video that we're gonna talk about, or we're gonna watch, regarding sex and cannabis. And it's supposed to break down what it does physically in the endocannabinoid system, those receptors that are located throughout the body. The certain conditions that I was wanting to refer to was, of course, cancer is on there. So like a lot of ovarian cancers and things like that, which is on there as a way to treat with cannabis. But there's also like endometriosis. There's also like fibroids and tumors that people are making their own suppositories using oils. You can get these oils literally. Go and get you some cocoa butter and make that available. So we're gonna show this video. And thanks again for joining us, Jay, the Loveologist.
Thank you.
All right.
And make sure you check out askgoody.com for the shirt.
Yes.
Shirt. It's awesome.
Sex edge. Yes. All right. Have a good one. All right. So we have this quick video. Wasn't that amazing? That was awesome. Some awesome information. All right, so we're going to quickly watch this video and get some questions about or see how that goes. There's also Jerry Springer passed. And we wanted to...
Uncle Jerry! Come on, Uncle Jerry!
No.
Oh, Lord, I'm going to the funeral. I'm going to the funeral. Take home. I'm going to the funeral. My Uncle Jerry.
He's so hilarious. All right, and they said that he had prostate cancer.
He did.
So we are sorry that he did not get to indulge in cannabis. Yeah, you know, they say you put the cannabis closest to where you're having the issue, and you just said it. A suppository would have did him really great. But we have sex and cannabis right after this.
Welcome back to Leafly. My name is Jeremiah, and I am here with Chris Emerson, PhD, Chief Scientist at Level here in San Francisco. Level is a company here in the Bay Area that is designing custom cannabis for all kinds of different effects and uses out there in the real world. Thanks again for having me, Chris.
Yeah, appreciate it, Jeremiah. Thanks for taking the time.
As far as moving forward with how to enjoy consuming cannabis and sex, from a scientific point of view, what should people know? Where should they start?
Probably the easiest way to do it is through smoking, because it gives you the fastest, kind of most pronounced effect, and it's easier for you to kind of control your dosing. And then I would say it's important for you to pick the right strain. You don't want to pick a strain that maybe turns you off or makes you internalize and you can't focus on the experience.
Yes.
So I would look for indica-leaning hybrids.
Okay.
That way you stay away from the two ends of the spectrum, sativa to indica. Indicas might put you out, make you really want to fall asleep, and sativas might put you into a space where you're too much in your head. And so the indica-leaning hybrids and a lot of hybrids have a really nice blend of both of those. So you feel very good in your body. It can enhance the sensuality, potentially even the sexuality you feel, while giving you a little bit of stimulation and euphoric feeling.
So between males and females, is there any particular difference in the way different genders digest and sort of consume cannabis in the body?
They definitely do.
Okay.
Again, since the endocannabinoid system, this kind of secondary immune system, this system that helps balance the body, it's really individual for most people, and then across the sexes too. There's evidence to suggest women process cannabis quicker and they can feel potentiated on the effects, so they can feel the effects stronger than, say, a male, given the same dose per body weight.
As far as picking types of blends and whatnot, from your experience working here in the lab, would you say that there are particular strains or types of strains that might be more tailored towards
Amenable to sex?
Yeah.
To get in the weeds a little bit, every pun intended, you know, limonene, the smell from citrus, that's a very nice one. It can be very stimulating.
Of course.
The pinings as well, this is what comes from pine forests. All these help to kind of invigorate an individual. And then you can balance that out with things like myrcene, which is very prevalent in mangoes, and maybe even sometimes a little bit of linalool or an ocimene.
Yeah.
So some different combinations that the plant will produce that may really enhance the effect.
Yeah, and it's funny to think that the bouquet in the cannabis will actually have a direct effect on not only the way you feel, but then the way that sort of sensual experience will evolve too. Speaking more about the chemistry of the cannabis that you enjoy pre-coitus, THC versus CBD, is there applications for both when approaching sex and cannabis?
So there's some reports that CBD is actually can be used to help erectile dysfunction.
Oh yeah?
Yes.
That's so great.
But the kicker is it also seems to reduce libido. So there's some contradictory things in there,
it's a give and
right?
take, you know? Okay.
Whereas THC may help you feel more in the mood, but may decrease your ability to perform. So I think it's, you know, if it's not one or the other, it's a blend of them. And again, it comes down to, you know, have fun, experiment, communicate with your partner, with yourself, and try a whole bunch of different stuff.
Experimentation is again essential to finding what works best for you, including the delivery method. Finding the best application for cannabis in pursuit of quality lovemaking, I think is a journey in itself.
Yeah, a very fun one.
Yeah,
Should be, right?
no doubt, as it should be. Well, thanks again, Chris.
Thanks, Jeremiah.
If you want to know more
All right. So you all heard it here. Sex and cannabis, finding the correct strains and going with it and finding the correct application. Like we have lozenges, we have oils, we have an indica versus a sativa or hybrid, which is a little bit of both, and so forth. So we got this news real quick before we get out of here. Mr. Henderson wants to tell you all quickly about what's going on with cryptocurrency. So we can pull up these pictures and after this.
Better go ahead, pull up the pictures. You gonna put up the pictures? Oh, you want me to go? All right, look, real quick. All right, now let me tell you now. Fed now is happening. All right, it's gonna happen. All right, ain't no way around it. Right,
it's gonna happen.
So how do you protect your money when the currency convert over? Right? Do you have to use Fed now? At the moment when Fed now first kick off, you will not have to use Fed now. But Fed Now will be an application that'll show up in all of your financial institutions, right? Amazon, it's going to show up. All right, your income tax return, it's going to show up. So you want to be aware of the Fed Now application, because I'm not saying that Fed Now is good now. I ain't saying that, and I'm going to tell you more about that when it break down on the next week, all right? We ain't got time for all that right now, but I'm just giving you the snapshot right now that when that Fed Now hit, all right, this is how they're going to try to get you. Basically, Fed Now is an app that the government is going to implement into the currency market. Fed Now will tell you, okay, well, look, you want to make this certain transaction. Well, guess what? Now we have a record of the transactions that you make, which means that because it's owned in part by the government, that the government now knows what you buy, when you buy, how many you buy, how much you buy, and now that Fed Now application will be able to reject your purchase if your purchase goes against anything that the government ain't cool with. You make a bad post on Instagram about the government, guess what? They can stop your money. All right, Fed Now happens like that. All right, you live in a certain demographic. You're supposed to be living in 30294, but you go over here to one of these rich, affluent zip codes to try to make a purchase. Guess what? You don't belong over here. Transaction denied. All right, stuff like that can happen with Fed Now. Not saying that it will happen, but I'm telling you it can happen. And I ain't never know the government to not discriminate.
All right, so Jamie Foxx, who had a stroke and 8 days left to film a movie he was working on, instead of waiting on him until he recovered, they went ahead and used a stunt double to finish the job. So moral of the story, take some time or some days off to spend time with your family, because your job is going to move on without you.
Hey, I heard another story about that deal, what happened to Jamie Foxx. And it was not that he overworked himself into a stroke mode. Hey, man, I had to tell y'all about that next time when we got time, man, because ain't nobody got time for that.
All right, so rest in peace to our dear friend of mine, Dr. Pat. We were on her show a couple of years ago, and she transitioned to be with the Lord due to some complications that we were not going to discuss. But shouts out. I wish I would have known she was sick. Zach. Yes, Zach was all over the news. He was one of my students. There's us at True Leaf. So congratulations to Zach again. That's one of our patients, or not our patients, but one of the patients that was there at the location at True Leaf, she was the first medical cannabis patient there. And Zach was able to help her out. And so that True Leaf office was set up really nice. I met a lot of the people there, the PR, some owners, managers, all kinds of people. They were everywhere. It was lovely. They were really friendly. All right, so progesterone cream being a great source of testosterone, which they say that testosterone is depleted with medical cannabis. So we want to make sure that everyone gets some their testosterone boost or with the progesterone cream. Also, ladies, ensuring that you have a good vaginal floral system and that your vaginal is properly cared for, because they say that sex increases your sex drive. Cannabis increases sex drive, which you may get, experience more partners, and you want to make sure that flora in there is, smelling good, is real good for you. And I do sell these products, so contact me at 404-631-6360 or visit the Holistic Society Health and Wellness Clinic for a check on that. Also, you just heard from the sexologist. Become certified in inclusive sex coaching and get certified in 3 months online program. All right. Madam CJ Walker has her first Barbie doll. All right. Shouts out. And in Minnesota is poised to become the 23rd state to legalize marijuana for adults, and members of the House and the Senate advanced legislation this week in legalizing the possession, home cultivation, retail production, and sale of cannabis for those aged 21 and older. Shouts out Minnesota. And nearly a decade after Georgia lawmakers enacted legislation recognizing the utility of low THC CBD cannabis extracts, the State Regulatory Commission has issued license to the state's first ever legal providers of plant-derived medicinal cannabis products. So shouts out to Georgia. Boom. There you go. Lawmakers in both chambers of Congress have reintroduced the Secure and Fair Enforcement Banking Act with bipartisan support. Yay!
They better do something. They better do something.
They gotta do it.
Do something, government. Do something.
Do something. Terpenes in cannabis, including boronol, germinal, limonol, linalool, ocimene, and sabini, and terpenol enhance the ability of THC to interact with endogenous CB1 receptors or in the brain and spinal cord, and potentially heightening its effects according to a new preclinical data. So these are heightening cannabis. New study of data indicates CBD demonstrates the bone protective activity in both cellular and animal models of osteoporosis. All right. So that's where your cannabis medications come from. We all need those to survive. All right, so we hope you all enjoyed the show this week. We're going to be on next week, hopefully 5 to 6 p.m. If not, check us out 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, same time and place. Until next week, peace.